The Big E Sports Show.
Yeah, we got it going on,
The fastest hour in sports entertainment. We don't just talk about the headlines. We bring you some of the most engaging and colorful guests each and every episode for your listening pleasure. Now, without further ado, here's your host, Elissa Walker-Campbell.
Hey, welcome back to the Big E Sports Show. I'm your host, Elissa Walker-Campbell. And indeed, it is time to talk some college football. Week 2 delivered a ton of drama, including one of the biggest results, Oklahoma knocking off Michigan. The Sooners not only looked sharp defensively, but they also showed poise behind their quarterback in John Mateer. And then you add in Florida's stunning stumble to South Florida, and now a massive Week 3 showdown with LSU. It is loaded ahead, and here to break it all down, we are joined by college football news writer Pete Fiutak, and it's good to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us, Pete.
Nice to be here.
Well, give us your broad takeaways from Week 2. What stood out to you the most?
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it. The Florida loss to South Florida was kind of the big one because there's 100 million things that are about to happen still over the rest of the season on a bigger scale. But in terms of the college football playoff and which one of those group of 5 programs is going to take the lead and probably get that 12th spot, South Florida, because it destroyed Boise State to open the season, and now they did this, they get Miami this week. They have a date at Memphis down the road, but that put them in the lead spot where they can not only just even get there, but actually do some damage because last year Boise State didn't beat a power conference team. They didn't beat anybody nearly as good as Florida. And all of a sudden, Florida just pulled that off and looked pretty good doing it at the very end. So if they can somehow do it again and beat Miami this week, then all of a sudden the world changes. They're a top 5 ranked team. And the college football playoff, at least getting there, is right there for them. So that was kind of the biggest thing of the bunch.
Well, Florida's loss, it certainly was shocking. When you evaluate that, what went wrong and how do they regroup against LSU? Because it's not going to get any easier being in Baton Rouge.
That's the problem. And it's not Baton Rouge and even down the road from there because their SEC schedule's a bear. And this is one that they had to have had and didn't pull it off. They have their own game coming up with Miami soon. I think that's next. So this is huge. I mean, they've got to beat LSU. Otherwise, that's an awful start. Billy Napier was on the hot seat last year, off the hot seat after a big finish. And if they cannot get by LSU, that's going to be a rough start. All of a sudden, you're going to start talking coaching changes and things like that. But they just didn't get the offense going. I mean, they for whatever reason under Napier, they cannot get that going. Defense has been pretty good, but we're about to see against LSU. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. I don't think it's going to be a shootout of any sort, but they have to find something that clicks a little bit better because they only got 1 touchdown against USF, and that didn't come until the 4th quarter. Look, the defense didn't hang on late. There was a bad penalty, but you can't put this all on the D. They did all right. Got Florida sold for way too many field goals.
Pete Fiutak, our very special guest on the Big E Sports Show. We are in the SEC. Let's continue the conversation. Talk some more about Oklahoma. I mentioned the big win over Michigan. Of course, they're facing Temple tomorrow, 11 o'clock kickoff in Philly. What did that victory reveal about the Sooners as a team? What did you learn?
It was a must-win. I mean, that's another team. That's kind of the big story across the landscape is who has the tough schedules and who doesn't. And some programs like Florida, like Wisconsin, for example, and like Oklahoma, you look at their schedules and they can't miss because Oklahoma's not too bad over the first half of the season, but they get everyone nasty over the second half. So if they had lost to Michigan, that's pretty much it in terms of the college football playoff because there's another loss, at least 1, maybe 2, coming the rest of the way, and they can go 10-2 and get into the college football playoff. They can't be 9-3 most likely. So getting that win over Michigan gives them a big buffer. They weren't great. The offense wasn't amazing, but it was a relatively stress-free win considering it's Michigan. So it was a good moment for them. It at least puts John Mateer on the Heisman map a little bit and makes these games coming forward a lot bigger. But it was for that program that had a down year last year, 2 losing seasons in the last 3. It was one of those moments that for a program like Oklahoma, it was a really big deal. But again, that's just the start. They've got a lot of big things coming up after Temple.
Pete, what were your impressions of the Sooners defense?
Great. I mean, Michigan's offense is not great. Bryce Underwood is a big-time playmaker, big-time star. He's only a freshman. He was in his second game. That's still going to take a while before he kind of gets it all together. And that offense just is not anything all that scary. So he's not going to take too much away from it, but it was functional. It got the job done. It beat Michigan. It came up with the big drives when it had to. And a game like that was the big game of last week. They did it. They looked fine doing it, and just win and move on because, all right, that's great. Now what's next? So they got a lot of big stuff ahead of them.
Well, Oklahoma faces Temple tomorrow, but then 1 week, the countdown is on against Auburn that they will host the Tigers in Norman. What can you tell us about them?
Tigers are pretty good. They're playing well. That's another team where the schedule's a bear. They've been down for a few years. Things are starting to click a little bit. They did a great job in the transfer portal. Getting Jackson Arnold, the quarterback from Oklahoma, was a big help. And they're playing well. I mean, the early win at Baylor is going to look better and better with Baylor beating SMU last week, which was a big deal overall. So it's a good team, but it's a middle-of-the-pack SEC team. I don't think there's enough there to get past Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, all those other top teams. But it's certainly going to be a factor where they're going to beat someone pretty good, but they're more like 8-4-ish at best good, not necessarily 10-2 gets the college football playoff good.
Pete Fiutak, our very special guest on the Big East Sports Show, College Football News. Direct all of our audience. Where can they go and check out your work?
Basically, collegefootball.com. It's the previews are going up there, and it's right in the things right now.
Okay, let's transition and talk Texas. What do we need to know about Arch Manning as he has stepped into a much bigger role?
He's fine. Everyone was expecting him to come out and be an Eli all-in-one. Struggled right out of the gate. He would struggle going against Ohio State defense in week one with a defensive coordinator like Matt Patricia and all that NFL talent on that side. He was okay in week two, looked good enough. He's going to be fine. He's still learning how to become a starter. All the talent's there. He's going to be the number one overall draft pick whenever he's ready. But it's a process. He's not there yet. It's been an easy thing to dunk on him after the Ohio State game and say, okay, well, he's overhyped. He's not great. Well, yeah, he's overhyped, but he is that good. So it's the whole team. The defense has been wonderful so far. They do need a little bit more of a running game. And Arch just needs more time logged in. But he will be just fine. I was never sold on Texas being this number one team. But going back to the big deal, why it was a big deal for Oklahoma to win before over Michigan, you look at Texas' schedule, they still have to deal with Oklahoma. They still have a bunch of nasty SEC games, and they got to go to Georgia. So that loss to Ohio State early on, that's big because there's another loss coming somewhere, and they can't have a third. They just don't have that buffer that they would have had they gotten by the Buckeyes. Well,
it sounds like the coaching staff has rallied around Arch, and they're willing to be patient. But what about Texas fans? I mean, what are their expectations? They want a college football playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, they got the whole idea was place for them to take that next step. They upgraded with Arch. But Quinn Ewers was a great quarterback for that. I mean, everyone could not wait to get past him and see what Arch was going to do because he is the Manning. He is the next big thing. And again, he's going to be just fine. The defense really is good, but so are a lot of other teams in the SEC. This is not a talent-wise team that's better than, head and shoulders better than the Georgias and Alabamas. It's right on par with them. So, a good team. Texas fans were hoping this would be the year that they became the new Ohio State, the new Michigan in the last 2 years. It's just not quite there for them right now.
You mentioned Quinn Ewers. What differences do you see in Arch Manning's playing style compared to him?
Ewers was very sharp. I mean, he was a great mid-range passer, very good college quarterback, kept things moving, but he was also around for a while. He had a lot of time logged in. He was a long-time starter, a little more mature, and just he saw more things. He was just more ready for the job and was good for Texas over the last couple of years. But Ewers does not have the skills. He's not the dynamic runner that Arch is. Doesn't have the arm strength, and you can see it. Again, Arch hasn't been all that accurate yet. He hasn't been polished, but when he unleashes it, it's all there. You can just tell that all the NFL skills are there, and he just right now looks like a guy who's been overcoached pretty much for all his life. The very end there against Ohio State, when he was able to let it rip, it was there that you could just see that that's the quarterback everyone's going to be waiting for.
How do you see the SEC race shaping up? I mean, does Georgia still look like the team to beat, or is there a real challenger this year? What do you see?
Yeah, LSU looks strong. I mean, they got by Clemson to start the season. Let's see what they do against Florida. Everyone in the SEC's got a loss, if not two, coming their way. There's not one killer. Alabama certainly looks vulnerable, but they're fine. They're going to bounce back from all this. I think Oklahoma talent-wise is good, but that schedule just is a barren. And Texas, again, is good. I mean, it's a good enough team to get to the SEC championship at the very least, if not the college football playoff. So there's lots of good teams up and down the SEC. There isn't the killer. They don't have Ohio State's better, Penn State's better, Oregon's better. The Big Ten's got the big top-heavy teams. So if it's not Georgia, there just isn't that team in the SEC. But certainly there are a whole lot of really good ones.
Hey, Pete, we got to talk about Georgia, Tennessee. Can the Vols this time around keep things close?
Sure. I mean, the problem has been, 16 straight losses to Georgia in the series? It's been for forever. I don't think this is going to be any type of a shootout. I will be stunned if this is not just two defenses just making this a tight game until the very end. I'm also not quite sold that Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar is going to be great in this. He'll be fine, but they're going to need the defense, and they're going to need that running game to step up a little bit. And I don't think it's going to be there. It's going to be very, very tight. I think Georgia stays in control late in the second half and pulls this off. But again, I will be absolutely stunned if this is any sort of an offensive firefight.
Okay, Pete, my final question for you is coaching changes always makes headlines. Which first-year or second-year head coach has made the biggest impact so far?
Gosh, he's been around for more than 2 years, but you got to say, who are the hot guys going right now? And then look at Alex Golesh in South Florida. I mean, you come out, he's had to build this thing up. Yeah. And it's a program with a lot of advantages, a lot of positives, and to do what they did against Boise State and then beat Florida and let's see what they do against Miami and see if they can do. He will be the next coach up who's doing a really great job. I really kind of also see, watch out for this guy, G.J. Kinney from Texas State. He's this young kid who's in his mid-30s, but a big-time offensive mind. They get Arizona State this week. If they do anything and they look close to the mix, he's going to be one of those guys who's going to be one of the next hot coaches up.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Pete. Check him out, College Football News. That is Pete Fiutak. Where are you on social media? Where can you connect with our audience?
I'm Pete Fiutak, last name Fiutak.
Outstanding. Enjoy the games and the coverage. We'll talk soon.
Good talking to you. Have a good day.
You bet. Thanks.